Hi, in our KANO model series, and in the previous video I had shared some of the examples for the various category types of features or requirements or service elements that you can analyze in in your KANO model, from varying from threshold to delighters to threshold or must-have features and delighters or reverse features and performance features, etc. And in this video, we will look at how to collect the information via a survey or via a questionnaire or whatever that you can conduct with your customers or beneficiaries or stakeholders in order to gather the inputs required to understand where what kind and to understand how to classify these features in this manner. What are these must-have features? What are the delighters? What are the potential reverse features? And what are the performance features? So how do you arrive at that decision? It is recommended that you conduct a survey exercise and gather this input and then do a very systematic, thorough analysis which will help you to make this classification properly. How to do that? Let's find out. So the first thing, as you can see here, is to ask for every feature. You need to ask a functional question, which is the question that I put on the first question over here, and then to ask that same question in a dysfunctional manner, and I'll explain what I mean. The functional manner of asking this question is, if we include feature A, what would be your response? So I'm asking a customer, there is this feature in my smartphone. If I provide this feature, for example, automatic backup, onto a cloud system, and I'm going to provide that backup for you. If I include that feature, what would be your response? And the customer can say, I like it, or I expect it, or they can say, I am neutral about it. You give me, you don't give me, it's fine. I can tolerate it if you give me that feature, or I might even say I dislike it. Hey, I don't want you to give me any automatic saving of my data and all. Who asked you for that? I did not ask you for that. Why are you giving it? So that could be my response to that. I dislike it as well. So any of these options the customer can select. Now that's the functional way of asking this question. If I include the feature, what would be your response? Now for dysfunctional manner of asking that question is, if we do not include feature A, what would be your response? So I do not provide automatic saving or backup of your phone data onto a cloud. I'm not going to give you that. If I do not include that, what would be your response? Here again, the customer will say, I like it, or I expect it, or I'm neutral, or I can tolerate, or I dislike, etc. Now, the idea of KANO model analysis, in order to get a proper understanding, is to use both the questions, the functional and the non-dysfunctional. There's no point just asking, if I give it to you, will you be happy? It's also important to understand, if I don't give it to you, what will be your reaction? And we'll find out why I'm saying that. Both elements, the functional as well as the dysfunctional perspective, both are important. And how do we combine these two pictures together? That is what you can see in this categories, tab page or spreadsheet sheet that I'm showing over here. So as you can see here, this is a compilation of the data for a particular feature based on the responses given by a particular client. So let me explain this. Over here, you can see this combined, this green box where I've written the positive or the functional question here. If we include feature A, what would be your response? And over here, you can see on this red box, the negative or the dysfunctional question. If we do not include feature A, what would be your response? And the answers that the customer provides for the negative. The customer might pick any of these options here. I like it, I expect it, etc. all the way till I dislike it. Similarly, for the functional question also, the customer can pick up any response, any of these responses from I like it to I dislike it. Now, let's take one by one. You can see that there are different categories of features that are shown here. The categorization is automatically happening here, or there is a rule, there's this particular set of rules to do this categorization, and that you can see over here. Now let's say a customer says, let's look at a particular feature. Feature A, if I do not include it, I'm asking the question, this question to the customer. I do not include feature A, what would be your response? And let's say the customer says, I dislike it. The customer has selected this option. You are not giving it and I'm unhappy about it. You are not including it and I'm unhappy about it. Now for the same feature A, I ask the functional question to the customer. If I include feature A, what would be your response? Yeah? So over here, let's start with this one. Yeah? Let's start with, the negative response was, I dislike it. And the same feature, if the feature is included, the customer says, if you give me feature A, I like it. That is the choice that the customer has made. I like it that you are giving me feature A. That is the functional question ka answer. For the dysfunctional question, the customer says, if you do not include it, I will be unhappy or I will dislike it. That, my dear friends, is a performance feature. Because the customer is happy if you are providing it, and will be unhappy if you do not provide it. Very simple, straightforward. That is a performance feature. What you saw on the performance line, that diagonal line from the bottom left-hand side to the top right-hand side, the linear the line that was going all the way from diagonally from one end of the graph to the other end of the graph. Those are the performance features. And how do you detect it? Is by combining the responses to these two questions. When the customer has said that they dislike non-inclusion of a feature, and to the other question they say they will be happy if that is provided, that means it's a performance feature. Now the same feature A, I don't give it, what will be your response? Customer says, I can tolerate it. If you don't give it, I'm okay. If you don't give it, I can tolerate it. Now, for the functional question, the customer says, I like it if you give me. So I can tolerate it if you don't give me, but I'll be happy, or I like it if you actually give me the feature. That, my dear friends, is a delighter, as you can see over here. It's a delighter. Similarly, the same question, negative question or dysfunctional question I asked, if I do not include feature A and the customer says, I'll be neutral to it. But when I ask the question, if I include it, what will be your response? They say, I like it. Again, that's a delighter. Same way, I do not include it and the customer says, I expect it. I'm not expecting you to deliver that. I'm thinking you may not be delivering that. But then I ask the functional question, if I include it, if I include feature A, what would be your response? And they say, oh, I'll be happy. I like it. So when you combine these two responses, the meaning is that it's a delighter. Just because the customer said, okay, I'm not expecting you to give it to me. Fair enough. But the customer is also going to be happy or is going to like it if you actually give it. When you combine these two responses, the meaning is, the inference that you need to draw from that is that this is a delighter. All right? So that's how we find out our performance and delighter features. What about the reverse features? What are these indifferent features? How do we find our must-have features, etc.? I'll talk about that in the next video. So I'll see you soon in the next video. For the time being, I hope you've got a clarity about how to decipher which of your features are performance features and which of the features are negative features. Please don't go with only one question. Just by asking functional question and they say, I like it, that doesn't mean that they're going to be delighted by it. But if they say they were expecting you not to give it, and if you don't give it, they were neutral, or they can tolerate it and still you give it, that is a potential delighter. Similarly, for performance, they will dislike it if you don't give it, and they will like it if you give it. That is a performance feature. So that is a summary of the delighter and performance, and I'll see you soon in the next video with more information about discovering our reverse features, indifferent features and must-have features. Till then, have a great day and take care.